Welcome to Social Selling Simplified. I'm your host, Ashley Shaw, and in today's episode, I'm jumping in with Marty McDonald. Now, Marty is the co-founder and CEO at Bad Rhino, which is a full-service social media marketing agency that focuses on providing measurable results through customized social media marketing solutions. Now, what I love about this interview with Marty is that he is as real as it gets. He doesn't sugarcoat anything. And he gets right to the point about what successful marketing looks like. And the number one takeaway for me around this was you don't have to do everything, but you really have to understand where your customers are coming from. This episode is going to reduce the marketing overwhelm. It's going to help you see super clearly where you need to focus your marketing efforts so you can spend less time in the areas that are not driving results for you. Listen in as we get real and talk all about how to maximize your time and efforts on your marketing.
You're listening to the Social Selling Simplified podcast. Stick around if you too are obsessed with learning things that actually work and believe that success leaves clues. We're all about identifying results-producing roadmaps and getting super clear on how to scale and grow your online business. From part-timer to president, social selling expert Ashley Shaw will help you connect the dots and take the guesswork out of what works to grow a social selling empire. It's time to hear from social selling legends, listen in on truthful conversations, and learn the best tips and tricks to reduce the marketing overwhelm so you can build the social selling business of your dreams. If you're ready to go all in, no holding back, and build the business you've always wanted, you're in the right place. Here's your host, educator, social selling guru, and fitness industry OG, Ashley Shaw.
Marty, thank you so much for joining me today here on Social Selling Simplified. I am super pumped for more about your story. So can you tell us a little bit about Bad Rhino, and it's a full service social media marketing and digital agency. But how did you come to start this business and what sort of drove that vision?
Sure. So thanks for having me, number one. And I really appreciate you taking out the time to chat with me and about Bad Rhino. I think the biggest thing before I get into Bad Rhino is personally, I've been doing internet and digital marketing in its earliest form since 2002. So I feel like a dinosaur sometimes, right? Because it was like very early on, you had to code everything, had to do everything, but it started off as a side hustle, right? Became a side hustle that became a very well-paying side hustle and hobby that then ultimately turned into Bad Rhino. And since 2010, Bad Rhino has been social. We lead with social, but we're a full service digital marketing company where we work with a variety of clients from the restaurant up the street to large pharmaceutical companies and everything in between. And really it was born out of an idea where my business partner came to me where he had built a brand via social purely through organic and was getting a ton of, really good leads that were like accidental leads. Like, how did you build your following? How did you do that? And he came up with the idea, which eventually became Bad Rhino. And in doing that, we just took the concepts of educating people from the outset. Like, let's help them in some way, shape, or form learn what they need to do to have a presence on social and then help their actual sales piece ultimately. But like, let's take a look at it, how we can help them. And I'd been doing that for so long that, it became Bad Rhino, this idea where we were the agency that would educate first and then actually execute on the strategies. And it's worked out really well. We're in year 11. We have a team of 5 just outside of Philadelphia in Westchester, Pennsylvania. And we also have a bunch of contractors that we work with. And we've been growing every year ever since. And that's pretty much the basis of it.
I have a couple questions for you. I have also been, I feel like an OG in online marketing. We've been in this about 16 years or so. We started off in, I'm trying to think of our first business, but so about 16 years ago, we decided that delivering groceries would be a good thing. And we were just so way too early. It was called Lazy Groceries. Tried to get this thing off the ground. And I think we sold 2 Costco dog beds. And that was it. So we've been in this, I guess, call it a game for quite a while. We were in Vietnam exporting goods, and we thought if we could only start this online business. So it's been really interesting, being on this journey. But for me, nothing really stuck till about 4 years ago, where I actually figured out how I could help people. So I love your messaging here about like actually have to help people. It's not just, it's not a business with being able to do that.
100%. And I think that's a key point is like, there's so much flash on the internet, right? And it's just like, you've seen it, you've been around, right? You see like somebody pop up, they have this idea and they're going to run with it. And I love like the lazy grocery idea and concept. And I probably would have ate it up years ago when you brought it, like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea, Ashley. And it's so funny is because I just recently started ordering my groceries. And then I realized like, why the hell haven't I been doing this for like ever? I'm like, this is great. Like I waste so much time, and I don't know about you, but you look at things and then you kind of go from there. So it's like truly a service that once you do it, you realize how much freer your time is and how much time it takes to do that. So like you have all these ideas pop up, and with all the flash out on the internet, a small business, mid-size, and even our Fortune 100 companies, when we work with them, it's so funny. They come to us and they're like, we got this idea. And you're like, why? Like literally, why would you do that? Right. And it's just because they saw something that was like a shiny object. Right. And I've worked with many people on the information marketing side and the education side, people that you would know and most people would know. And the ones that have stuck the longest or have the best, what they don't do is they don't chase. They started off with like an idea that who they were. And that's what I incorporated into Bad Rhino, was like that education piece and helping people understand whether they hired us or not. And just understand like some of these flash in the pan things, they're not going to work for you. Like they sell that on certain things that will get you hyped up about it. That's the marketing aspect. So the marketing's working. So you're seeing that and you understand that. Now we have to apply that to what you actually do. And that's really where the lesson is. And when people do that, like I have so many clients that have come to us both in early stage or like mid stage, and they're like, wish I would have hired you from the outset. And I'm like, that's okay. I'm like, everybody makes mistakes. I've made them. But really that education piece and actually helping them say, look, your idea is awesome, but you're probably like 2 or 3 years away, because here's what the information is telling me. Nobody searches for, at your time, like if you did the basic search, nobody searched for grocery home delivery because it didn't necessarily exist. But if you can find that issue or challenge that people are having, like, wow, look at all these searches. Maybe now is the time to do the lazy grocery stuff, right? Then you can kind of formulate and help them understand where the market is, and then where they can meet the market and do all their marketing digitally and actually have a profit and have a business that works for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Don't chase. I think, a lot of my listeners probably feel that way. Like they're always like chasing the likes,
chasing the next thing.
And change it. Yeah, exactly. Where did you come up with the name Bad Rhino? Like, what does it mean?
It's so funny, Ashley, that you bring it up. And the reason is it is Bad Rhino is it comes up in every conversation we have. That's number one. We didn't really anticipate that when we were starting. My business partner, Rich, is awesome. He's well thought out, great project manager, great operations guy, all this stuff. He keeps everything together. So I had known him for quite a while. He came to me, started talking to me about, I know you do some side work and you do some other things. I have this concept or idea around social media. And I got to remember too, this is 2010. Really, the ad platform wasn't built. I mean, it was in those very early forms. And he saw a need out there that we needed to kind of fill, or we felt like he could fill. And I said, Rich, since you're super well thought out, I'm like in my brain going, this is going to take you a couple of weeks because you're going to analyze everything. And maybe you'll even forget you have this idea to start a business. And he came back. I thought it would be forever. He came back in 45 minutes, erased my whiteboard, wrote down 12 names. Can't remember them. The other 10, I can only remember Moosehorn and then obviously Bad Rhino. And he was like, I said to him exactly what you just asked me, like, well, what's Bad Rhino mean? So at first he was like, kind of a cool name. That was it. Then the second part of it was in going through and building a website, building service offerings. What we were able to do is take like a Rhino concept where you're charging forward a little bit heads down, but Rhinos operate in crashes. So it takes a whole team to kind of develop these things. And we took that theme basically. We also wasted a bunch of money on a branding firm that we never really went with. But really what it means are two things. One is that charging part and working together as a team, as a crash. Then the second part of that is that I wanted anybody to take our proposal and be able to go to their manager, their CMO, and say, I really like this team of people in this organization. And then if they said, well, why are we going to hire Bad Rhino? Right? What's a silly name? I wanted the work to stand on it. And if they weren't really interested in working with a company called Bad Rhino, that was their hang up, they're not going to be a fit for us and our team and who we are. So that's really what it is the long and the short about it. And people say, oh, you should develop a crazy story around Bad Rhino. I'm like, I like just to tell the truth. And that's the truth.
Mm-hmm. And so with what you guys do then, what is your secret path? Like, what makes you guys so great at what you do? And I mean, obviously, like social media itself, I think for a lot of people, they use the idea that they want to get sales from it, but it feels like it's this like mystic experience where they don't really know how to like put the pieces together. So I'm asking lots of questions. Sorry. What is your secret sauce? Let's start with that. And then I want to jump into the like sales aspect of this.
Sure. So I think when you open up the whole digital landscape, right, and you look out there and you're like, do I start with YouTube? Do I go to Facebook? Do I do Instagram? Do I do this? Do I do that? It really is like take a pause. And what our secret sauce is creating a strategy for you. Okay. But you can't ignore all the pieces, right? Especially now in 2021. I would say 4 or 5 years ago, you could still ignore and just focus in on one thing, say Google AdWords or Facebook. Now they're all much more intertwined. And that's number one. So coming up with a strategy and talking to them about where have you been successful in the past and how we can get that going on social really quick. I'll give you a real fast example. I had a dentist come to me, owns 10 offices local to the Philadelphia area. And he was like, I'm trying to get this 10th one up and running to be, I think it's $1.5 million, where all the other ones were $1.5 million in revenue. And I just sat there and I listened, and he's like, I got to get this done. I got to do this digitally. I got to get email lists. I'm like, wow, this sounds great. I'm like, let me ask you a quick question. And this is where our secret comes in. I just said, how did you get the other ones up and running without all this? And he was like, well, I run this ad. And he went through this whole process. And I go, did you do that for this office yet? He goes, no. He's like, it's 2018 and I need to be digital and I need to do this. And I go, when was the last time you did it? Oh, it was 2016. And I said, well, why don't we start there? I'm like, it's not in our wheelhouse, but you're coming to us and I greatly appreciate that. And I'm like, we can rework all your stuff digitally. But if your really quick need is to get that one up in revenue, why don't you just repeat what you did? And he just paused and he goes, you're the first person that told me that. And he just said, I really appreciate that. Then he wound up becoming a bigger and long-term client after that in consulting, because we just told him like what was the fastest path for his business. And I would say that has always been our secret strategy, is that, and it doesn't sound like a strategy after you say it like this, we just tell them the truth. Because sometimes people will come to you and be like, I need to make $60,000 a month. And you'd be like, okay, where are you at currently? Well, we're at 0. And I'm like, okay, well, what's your time frame? They're like, next March. I'm like, okay, so March 2022, if we're talking in real time. You're like, no, March 2021. I'm like, where do you come up with this? So you have to talk to people about where they're at, what they've done, and develop a strategy off of that. And that's always been our quote unquote secret, is just to work with them with where they're at and kind of bring them up and show them the wins along the way, that they can, where they should be doubling down, so to speak, or they should be slowly pulling away and then trying a different channel, and just working with them directly like that.
Yeah, I love that. I think where we've seen the most success in our business is we had we 10x our revenue last year. And it was that's what we did. We were like, what's working? Do more. What's working? Do more. Like, just action over and over again. And sometimes you're too much in it to be able to see that. It's like having even someone else just, be like you said, like just tell you the truth. You don't need to be everywhere, but like just having that view from being on the business and not in it.
Correct. Yep.
So in terms of social media marketing strategies that drive sales, and this is one of, your guys' specialties that you really, I'm sure every client comes to you and asks you that question, like, how do we do more of that?
How do we get the ROI, right?
Yeah, exactly. So how do you start to assess that with clients, and what do those initial stages sort of look like?
Absolutely. So the first two things, it falls into two camps, I should say. And the first thing that you would do is take those two and say, okay, what's your goal here? All right. So for a lot of companies, it's branding. first. And they just want a presence. They're like, we have tons of where our sales come from. We just need to push more content out. We feel like if we do targeted social media, it's going to push our content out because our website traffic is good. All the other things are there. And what we want is a brand presence. And then we'll turn that into sales. So create some sort of community and something where they can make an offer to. Then the other side is like, they're just, hey, we have everything that's from a brand perspective done. We need to be able to drive sales through different channels. So when you start on social, it's making sure that you understand what that brand is, what their demographic is, because it might change where they advertise. The biggest elephant in the room is always Facebook because it's the biggest, right? And like so many B2B brands are reluctant to sell on Facebook. B2C is much easier to kind of articulate, but then you explain to them like, all right, well, let's see where you fit in. And we start with an audit and we take a look at what they're currently doing, what their competitors are doing, and where people that they want to emulate, so to speak, and what they're doing. And we show them like, okay, this is what you can do right now. This is where you want to start to develop it. And you got to remember that in that wheel, in the buyer's journey, or in a sales funnel, even when you start to talk to them, you're creating awareness first. And then it's like, okay, here's your why you're buying this product. Here's what we can do for you. Here's our benefits. And then at the end, that's going to spit out a sale. It's not a one-to-one thing. I mean, t-shirts and some other things that are basic, you can kind of catch lightning in a bottle, so to speak, and like really just hammer sales through there. But for the most part, everybody goes through a buyer's journey, even in t-shirt sales nowadays, where they go and they see an ad on Facebook. Then they're like, I really like that company and it's XYZ t-shirts. And they just Google XYZ t-shirts. Then the next thing you know, like that sale is attributed to an organic search, which it really didn't come from an organic search. So going back to what I said before and working with them and seeing where their sales come from to develop the social strategies, you need to know where their customers are coming from and then develop that social strategy to fill in those gaps at first. Then once those gaps are filled in and sales start to go up, is then you start to really A/B test, especially a ton of ads that are going directly to the consumer. And as you're building your content as well. So there's no easy answer to answer that question, but you have to look at it as where you are as an organization or where you are as a solopreneur and really start to hit on certain things. And what we start off was, here's the organic plan. We got to get you noticed and we got to get content out there. Then, phase 2, which is really quick, is let's start testing some ads, not only to create some engagement, but then get visitors to your website and get people to click and buy. And that's really basic. There's much more to it, but we could talk for another 45 minutes on that.
I love this. So I'm just going to take us back a step and try to visualize this for a sec. So you're going to go in, you're going to have a look at where people are the traffic is already coming in and producing conversions. Like, how do people find you and how are they like buying from you already? So let's say you do that. And let's just say you're a company that, let's say most of your people are, what would be an example? Could they be coming to you from like a Facebook group or your email? Like you're able to track it with like a UTM code or something and attribution. Sure. Is that what you're like? That would be like the strategy you're looking at. Like where exactly is it?
100%.
Email?
Yep.
Okay. So then how are you lining up your social media strategy to capture the right social media posts to drive sales? Because you already know, let's just say it's from your Facebook group. Let's say you're killing it in your Facebook group. So how would you line up that strategy? Does that mean that you're going to focus more on Facebook ads or sorry, no, I'm going to back up. We're talking social media itself. How does that work?
So you're saying most of the sales come from the Facebook group, right?
Yeah, or it could be, you can give me another example if there's something a little bit different to work with. But
yeah, well, I'll give you just the two that you brought up, email and the Facebook group. So let's say you have something and whatever your business is, all your sales are coming from Facebook group and coming from email. So your ads shouldn't necessarily go to say, hey, buy my stuff. Your ad should be like, come into my Facebook group and give me your email address. Right. So that's like a simple thing. Like, so let's just say back that up even one step further, Ashley. Let's say cold traffic works really well for whatever it is. You have some sort of service, something that just kicks butt with cold traffic. And they're saying, well, we want to warm this traffic up. So I'll say, okay, let's try a couple things here first. let's drive more traffic, targeted traffic anyway. So do you know all your demographics that people are coming to your website? Actually, we do. We run cold Google ads on Google, and then we also run AdRoll or Outbrain or Taboola or whatever. And these people are coming in and they're moms the age 32 to 45. Okay. So then where do you want to take them on social? Since cold traffic is converting when they come to your website or whatever piece of content you're sending them to, let's use cold traffic techniques on Facebook to drive them to that same spot. And don't overcomplicate it. That's your first move is like, okay, you're trying a new traffic source. You know it works on these other platforms. Then let's go from there. Email, like, hey, I get most of my sales from my email list. Okay, so what are you doing to build your email list? Well, yeah, kind of. Okay, well, then let's run the social strategy to build the email list. We're kicking butt in our Facebook group. Okay, well, let's not overcomplicate it. Let's run the ads to get more people in that demographic into that Facebook group. Then you're pulling up the stuff that you already know works. And then from there, then you're taking it and then you say, now let's test other areas to make it even better. So does that make sense?
Yeah, you're like strengthening channels. Like if you picture it as like all these different channels running in, it's like, just look at what's working and back up the truck a bit to the place before. And then, okay, yeah, totally makes sense. So if you are teaching or educating on a social media marketing strategy, and let's go old school, let's go organic here for a sec. Let's say, you're not using ads. Is there, like, I know a lot of people, at least solopreneurs, they put so much weight into their organic social media strategy. And I've talked to a lot of strategists that are like, that's a rough one. Your audience is really not seeing your stuff. Like, it's a tough one. What are your thoughts on that? So
you need organic to play with the pay stuff, right? So I know exactly what you're talking about. So let's take somebody that has a great page, solopreneur that has 1,000 people, just 1,000. They know the bulk of those 1,000 people, where they came from, how they got there, all that sort of stuff. So Facebook's only really going to show it to about 1%, a little bit less than that on that page. So like 80 people are seeing it out of that 1,000. But what you need to do is have a content plan organically. And what you're going to find is just let Facebook show you when those people are on. Let Facebook show you when they're most engaged and start there very simply. So let's just say Monday morning at 8, Tuesday afternoon at 4, Wednesday at noon, Thursday at 2, Friday at 6 p.m. Start there. Just post the content, right? Then see what happens. Now, a good rule of thumb, and this sounds crazy because it's small, but we're using 1,000 people. So only 80 some odd people are going to see it. So let's say you get 7 likes in the first 5 minutes that you post it. That then is one that you want to use as your ad. And it could be a quick ad. It could be something that you just run for 24 hours to drive engagement. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. It doesn't even have to be that expensive. $5, $10. And what it'll do is get more engagement. Now you have a foundation to build an ad later on because you know that piece of content resonated with 1,000 people that are on there and more people are engaging. So that's 1 week. Then you do the same thing week 2, week 3, week 4. About 30 days of data doing a consistent schedule like that, and then perhaps boosting or running an ad directly to some of those posts, just small budget, should give you the foundation that in month 2, you then can say, okay, on Wednesday, I'm going to go live because when I post a video, that really, really worked. Video content really worked better in month 1, but it only worked really on Wednesday because I posted a video on Monday. I posted a video on a Tuesday. I posted a video on a Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday throughout that month. Not saying videos all 5 straight days, but you notice like, okay, that worked. Then you go live and you notice, wow, I'm getting a lot more engagement during this time. Now you have a content schedule that you can start to build off of. But I will also warn anybody that's just relying on an organic strategy, you're going to have a tough go unless you have a very, very strong email list. And the way you do that is every day email somebody. People are like, well, I don't want to email every day. I'm like, well, if it's good enough for Dick's Sporting Goods to email me every day about their sales, it's good enough for you. And if people don't want to see it, you'll lose them. But don't be afraid to lose them, because they're not the people that want to see your content. And tell those people that you're going live on a Wednesday. Tell them that you posted something on Facebook that asks an intriguing question. Sounds silly, but that's how you start to make organic work, is driving them back there. And you have to do some, manual labor, so to speak, to drive them back there if you're not going to rely on paid ads.
How did you just make so much complication, so much anguish and frustration so easy? That was like my type A brain is super happy right now. Just like hearing how easy that can be. And like, this is a pattern, obviously, in what you guys do and what you guys teach is like, stop overcomplicating it. Just keep doing what's working. So yeah, I love that breakdown. So you're going to focus on when people are already engaged, looking at the times and the days, and you're going to be consistent with posting and content during those times. Month one, then in month two, you're going to, did I miss anything there? I just want to make sure that was.
No, you're right. What happens with organic is people post, but they don't do the last step, which is analyze what the platform is telling you. Mm-hmm. They never do that. They just go, well, I've been posting every day for the last 60 days and nothing's working. I'm like, well, did you look at the information on there? Did you actually then kind of analyze where people might be clicking on your website? Mm-hmm. Did you look at the times? Like, if you're going to do organic and you're going to hang your hat on pure organic and try and make things work, the thing that all these networks give you is data points. And then you have to leverage those data points to make them work. And email still is king, queen, and whatever else supreme being that you want to do. It still is.
Okay. So then you're going to look at those data points and then start to line it up when you go live to be at those times, your audience is on. And then the other thing is starting to email. And it's totally cool if you want to up that frequency. And in fact, it's really good because people that aren't your people will start to drop off, and you're really starting to hone in on that audience.
Yep, absolutely. That's really the key, is making sure that they understand how you're promoting yourself, right? Which sounds weird, but when you have an audience, you want to tell them how they can get in touch with you. And then I think the neat part is just being able to turn your phone on and being able to go live, YouTube, Facebook, wherever. And even if it's for 10 minutes, and just say, hey, how's it going? I'm actually working on something I thought I'd like to share, whatever it might be. And that really resonates with a lot of people, because it puts that whatever status that you feel you have, where they feel inferior to a coaching program or something. And they sit there and they go, oh, well, Ashley's a real person. Like, she's just sitting in, her studio and doing this. And I got to interact with her, ask her a couple questions. Now I feel better about following her content, or perhaps purchasing an item or a service from them.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Wow, that was a super good golden nugget. So what is the 80-20 rule, right? The Pareto principle about how people spend their time all in the wrong places. So if you were to think about the thing that, like, brands or solopreneurs or businesses you work with, like the most often place they spend their time, but if you were to, like, when you work with them, you kind of refocus them on the right things, what would you say that is?
Majority of them, doesn't matter size of company, the type of individual, they all spend too much time looking at their numbers on a daily basis. Ooh. So what they'll do is they'll look at, like, okay, we started this ad and it's day one. Okay, where are we at day one? And it's just like, oh, hold on. You can't look at it. And they'll look at it daily. They'll say, like, oh, well, we had a spike in traffic and it's Thursday, day 4. Okay, great. What's that mean? Like, it doesn't mean anything right now. Like, it really doesn't. Did you get any sales? We got a couple more than normal. Okay. Well, let's take a breather here and let's look at it over week. Let us look at it day over day. I find they spend their time is, why isn't this working so fast?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Rather than sitting there looking at, where is this going to go a little bit, and how can I make some of my content better? And when they focus in on why isn't it going so fast, it just doesn't go anywhere. And then they look at it day in, day out, every day. I have a client that spends close to $1 million a month with us on ad spend across everything. I never hear from that person. He looks at the end of the month and goes, okay, I got 2.5x or 3x. I'm happy. Okay. And then I have some people that are spending like $1,000 and they're getting 2x, which is good. 2x is good. If you walk around with a pocket full of 20s and you
Yeah.
said, hey, here's $20 and somebody gives you 40 back, you'll do that all day and come home with two pockets full of 20s, right? But then they don't focus in on it. They're just worried about like something happening that might go wrong because they look at these little pieces of data that in that moment don't really mean anything. But then when you take out and you look at the whole picture over the course of a month, then even better. And when you look at it over the course of 90 days, wow, you can see like, okay, that little hot point that you pointed out, we're going to take that hot point and say, well, what made it that way? And then we take that because we had two other hot points in that month. And then when we look at it month 2, we had 4. And then when we look at it overall, now we have 8 that we're looking at. Now let's redo this plan going into the next 3 months. And now let's watch it grow, but still don't look at it every day. And that's where the most of the clients come to is either they're too busy, they can't handle it themselves, or that they're so wrought with like looking at all this information, they get paralyzed and they only keep looking at it like it's just going to turn on and be magic when they should just be focusing on other things and just keep doing. And that other stuff kind of works itself out. It sounds simple, but I know it's hard for any business owner. And that's where we've come in and help them, organize that, put everything into place so that they understand what they're paying for and then how they can make their business not only profitable from marketing, but profitable overall.
It's almost like a camera lens that is like way too close on something. You can't see any of the patterns or the bigger picture of it. It's like you're making decisions, but not based on the real right data, which is like backed out a bit where you're actually looking at enough data to be accurate.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. So my last question involves like your organic content strategy. And we've sort of these things like really tie together with like making sure you have a strong organic plan hand in hand with your ad plan. Okay. So if you were to look at someone's content plan, what would tell you, like, when you look at the content that they're sharing, what are like 2 things that you're like, yes, good, and no, a lot of people do it, it doesn't work?
So the one thing I always see with content is that they don't have a good mix. And what I mean by that is just types of content. It's okay to share somebody else's piece of content every once in a while, but if you only do that, it's going to look weird. It doesn't come off right. It's okay to do a lot of video, but if you only do video, it becomes boring. Now, if you have a YouTube channel, that's different. Or if you're on Instagram, that's different. But I'm talking about an overall strategy. So if you're only plowing away on YouTube and you're doing video, that's great. But you also have to remember that if you're on Instagram, you're going to have to create graphics to go along with that video content. If you're on Facebook, you're going to have to create graphics. And then you're also going to have some written pieces that drive traffic back to a blog. So what I see is normally that is they have like a haphazard plan that relies on one type of content. Now, for some people, it works depending on the type of business, and they know where their other data is coming from. They're just like, I'm only hammering YouTube anyway, and it's working great. I don't care about Facebook or Instagram. I just want to have a presence. Okay, totally different. But that's one mistake I see is they don't have a coordinated content plan to actually map it out for 30 days. It takes time. The first couple of times you do it, it's like, okay, I got to figure out what I'm going to do and then stick to it. Yes. And that's the first thing we develop with our clients is like, let's look at this for a week and say, let's develop this content. And then we'll develop the rest of the month. If you like what that week is, then from there, let's develop 60 days and then 90 days and then follow some sort of strategy here so you can measure it. And then the biggest mistake that you constantly see with that is they never look at the data. They never look. I've had some really successful people that they didn't really care. They were looking to outsource it. And then we just made some tweaks and said, well, you should try this. And they were like, we got our best sales day because we did this. And I was like, well, yeah, because we just went back and looked at some of your data from a year ago and then from a month ago. And we just made some minor tweaks in the actual scheduling of your content. And that's what's appears to be anyway, jarring what this extra traffic is and everything like that. So really it's just not having a consistent plan, relying on one type of content all the time, and then not really looking at the data. Those are the 3 things that if you can fix right away, those will solve the 2 things that you brought up right there.
I love that. Awesome. That totally makes sense. And yeah, again, just that pattern of helping to simplify things, that is what I'm all about. So it's like way easier to execute. So Marty, where's the best place for people to find you and connect with you?
Sure. So if you just take a look at our website, it's badrhinoinc.com, badrhinoinc.com. You can find everything about there. There's podcasts, there's blog posts, there's videos, there's pretty much everything. If you have a specific question that you heard me talk about with Ashley today, feel free to email us at info@badrhinoinc.com. Just in the subject, please put the title of this podcast and Ashley's name, just so I know where it came from. Somebody on the team will get back to you. May not be instantaneous, but it'll be in a short order time frame, and we'll answer any questions that you have, because there's a lot of information in these things, and we always want to be a resource to help you answer and guide you through that.
Right on. Well, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ashley. I appreciate it.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Social Selling Simplified. Be sure to subscribe to the show, and while you're there, leave a rating and review. I read each and every one, and I love hearing from you. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you right back here next week on Social Selling Simplified.